Hello again folks, and welcome back to Let's Play Neverwinter Nights. I'm your host, the Game of Darius. Last we left off, we had successfully finished off Black Lake District and gotten the assistance of the water deviant creature known as the Dryad. There's a couple of things that I want, and we did a lot of odds and endsy sort of things, including talking to Tommy here, who had given me a very nice looking ring that is probably going to just eternally sit within my inventory and never be seen again. Now, I made a couple of realizations, including some of the usefulness of some of these potions that I got. For one, the endurance spell. This works kind of like the spell Bear's Endurance from the actual tabletop, except that instead of a static +4, it gives a +1d4 +1 to the Constitution score for a period of time. That is neat, I guess. I also made some other realizations just poking around before playing, and that is that, oh yeah,
you are a welcome. We
yep.
are all equal.
And that is that this armor of comfort, it is actually useful to me if I am going to be wearing heavier armor. With a total of 8 base 8 armor class and 20% reduction of its weight. Now, you guys know me. I'm not good with money in the slightest. I didn't realize that this was going to be a thing that I was going to be possibly using in the future, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a barbarian, so I'm going to be wielding all the... I'm buying the damn thing. It's 1 more AC, but that 1 more AC could save our lives. Not to mention, if I actually wield it with a shield, then yes. Also, look at our weight now. It was like 100 and something before. Now it's freaking 60. That's fine. I like that. This does not remove the idea of getting any of the other items off the table, because I could actually use some of those, I think. The armors, I mean. Or I could just sell them, depending on if it actually costs anything. To that end, though, I did want to do 2 quick things. One was to check out the Cloak Tower. And 2 was to go to the inn, recruit the other people, and get their magic items that they grant me for being such nice chums. It is level based, if I remember. It's not like I have to adventure with them for long periods of time.
I recognize you. You're one of the new recruits under Arabeth, are you not? I'm sorry, but this is a spellcaster's guild. It will not interest you.
I mean, I need some spellcasting equipment. Okay, she sells braces of armor. She's also unfavorable to me, so if there's anything I need from her, I better hope that someone else has it. I already got a cloak of... Yeah, I've already got a cloak of fortification. I think she only sells stuff, it seems like. Like, I didn't have any other options when talking to her. But yeah, Eagle's Splendor, Fox's Cunning, Owl's Wisdom, Bear, or Bull Strength, all that fun stuff. All of these potions work the same sort of way as Endurance does, which is... that's fine. I'm wondering, how many more potions do I have? I got more than enough Cure Light Wounds. More than enough Cure Light Wounds. Could pick up another potion of speed. Where's my... I could have sworn I had a potion of speed somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I ought to keep these potions in the first thing. I will buy a bull strength or 2. Simply because that added strength bonus is nice. Now let's put you here. Where those bull strengths go? 30 speed, invisibility. 8. Oh, here they are. Derp. Never mind. Nothing like a little bit of organization. I don't even know if I need this letter to Olaf anymore, but... Olaf. Yeah.
I recognize you.
Yeah, there's only buying and selling stuff. I have a feeling that if I was... Where does this go? Damn it. I have a feeling if I was a spellcaster of some sort, whether a sorcerer or a wizard, that could in theory have been interesting. But until then... Ooh. Was this chest empty? I forget. Yes, because I already looted it. Alright, let me quickly look at my map here. Moonstone Mask, Trade of Blades? Is that where they are? Because there was another inn slash tavern that all the other dudes were at, and it was like, ah. Yeah, this is where they were. Alright, so temporarily... what? Are you kidding me? You want to break up a great team? It's just temporary. That's what they all say, then suddenly they go off with the treasure. I'll wait here for you a little while. Yeah, so now he'll chill out here, I hope. And I can talk to some of these other fine gentlemen slash blokes slash ladies. I think are there only 2 in here? Nope, Sharwin, Gremnar, I want to say this Grax person, and most definitely Red Tiger. We'll do Red Tiger first, I think.
I see you are not yet infected by the plague that ravages Neverwinter. Among such suffering and misery, we who are not yet afflicted must be grateful for our health.
Is that Spike Spiegel? Are you voiced by Spike Spiegel? Who are you? I'm Dalen Red Tiger of the Uthgard tribes of the Frozen North, but it has been over a year since I left my people and came to Neverwinter. Now I earn my living as a blade for hire. No offense, but you're rather well spoken for a half-orc. My father was an orc, and the blood of his inhuman race is in my veins, but I was raised by my mother among the tribes of the Uthgard. I don't know much about the Uthgard tribes. Many of my people's customs would be familiar to you, Darius. We too are called barbarians, for we are tribal hunters and warriors who live off of the land. My tribe is noble, but small. Among them there was little chance for a young warrior to prove himself or earn a wife. But I am young and strong, and my people are renowned for their skill in battle. Here in Neverwinter I found work on the docks as a guard for the cargo and shipments being transported. Then what happened? The coming of the plague changed everything. The quarantine halted all incoming or outgoing ships. There was no work and no money. Should have left the docks then. Many of the dock workers were afflicted, men I had come to know as friends. I stayed to ease their suffering, but in the end I could do nothing to save them from the wailing death. With my friends dead, there is no reason to stay on the docks, not with things getting worse. Now I earn a living with my axe as a freelance mercenary. What do you mean with the docks getting worse? The quarantine trapped ships in ports, swelling the number of pirates and other criminals in the district, men with no honor. And the city guard focused on the plague. With the city guard focused on the plague, these evil men have seized control of the docks. An Uthgard warrior knows no fear, but I will not dishonor my tribe. I refuse to serve these men, and not become a common thug or murderer. Anything else you can tell me about the docks? Before I left, I heard talk in the district of an auction to be held at Jim Seedy's Tavern. That is an unfortunate name, Jim Seedy. Something besides the usual stolen merchandise, illegal goods, and helpless slaves sold at the filthy den of sin. The word spread quickly on the street. Perhaps I could have learned more before I left, but I have no interest in such transactions. I'm a warrior, not a smuggler. There's little else I can tell you about the docks, but I know the district is dangerous. If you intend to go there, it would be wise to take along a friend. Actually, I'm looking for some hired help to assist me on my missions. I'm no stranger to battle or bloodshed, but I am a warrior with honor. I will not undertake any sinister mission. Had I desired such work, I would have found my employment back in the docks. I work for Lady Arabeth, but my mission is confidential. I can understand that. If you are working with Arabeth, then I am certain your mission must be of great importance. Arabeth's reputation is well known throughout the city, so I have no fear your mission will bring dishonor to me. Okay. I will work for you if we agree upon a fair price of my services. I'm not one to boast of my own skills, yet the skill and ferocity of the Uthgar tribes are well known throughout the north. Okay. So I think that each of these characters are going to be essentially a bare minimum of 250 gold pieces. I could use a good fighter. You will not regret this, my lord. My skills are at yours to command. I'll follow you and perform to the best of my abilities, according to the orders you have given me. Anytime you wish to issue me new orders, give us speak again. So, Dalen here is a dude. He is a barbarian. 4th level. I'm pretty sure I can level him up. Actually, I think that's something I could have been doing anyways. But he has a double axe. Does the same amount of damage as my axe does, except he can essentially attack twice with it because it's essentially 2 axes on a handle. Rages, power attacks, 2-weapon fighting. Yep. All checks out. Also significantly stronger than me.
Yes? Is there something you need?
Just want to talk for a little bit. My strength is in weapons, not words. If you're going to be my henchman, I'd like to know more about you. I would ask, Darius, that before I tell you about myself, you tell me something of yourself. Among my people, it is said that in knowing your companions, we come to know ourselves. I admit that I fight only for gold, but I know nothing of your motivations. Why do you serve Neverwinter during the darkness of these times? In times of darkness, great heroes must do great deeds. It is how legends are forged. So you seek to make a name for yourself, a noble cause, and one I am familiar with. I came to the city to make a name for myself, Darius, to forge a legend that even the tribe of my mother would hear. Instead, I found myself guarding crates and barrels against common thugs. Yet, even in the sordid world of the docks, my reputation spread. Several captains asked me to join their crews. Perhaps if the plague had not come, the name Dalen Red Tiger would have become a legend on the high seas. Don't worry, Dalen. Stick with me and the bards will sing your praises. Perhaps it is for the best. Had I joined a ship's crew, it is unlikely the Uthgard would ever have heard of my accomplishments. My place is here in the north. This is the land of my birth, and this is where I must fulfill my destiny. I will bring no honor to my mother's name by fleeing on a ship. Only if I stay can I hope to redeem the shame of my father's blood and end my exile. Exile? Shame your father's blood? What are you talking about? Please forgive me, I became lost in the moment. The drums of glory momentarily distracted me from the task at hand. It will not happen again. Yeah, tell me what you're talking about. I want to hear it. Things I said before, the words were, "This is not the time to speak of such things. Perhaps later I will speak more of this, but not now." And again, because we are higher level, he should say more stuff to me now. Continue your story. Respect, now I am ready to, yes. I mentioned my exile to you before. The truth is, I'm not willingly leaving. I did not willingly leave the Uthgard to come to Neverwinter. The tribe cast me out. I'm a monstrous half-breed. As a child, it was obvious my blood was tainted. I was violent and savage. It was only because of the pleas of my mother that the tribe did not slay me as an abomination while still an infant. What about your father? I never knew my father. My mother never spoke of him, though I saw the pain in her eyes whenever I asked. But where the pain came from, I could not say. Some of our tribe said he was a vile beast who forced himself on my mother during a raid. Others claimed my mother loved him and welcomed him to her bed, then wept when he was murdered by the warriors who discovered them. The truth I shall never know, for it died with my mother last winter. At her death, the tribe cast me out. Can you blame them? Why waste good provisions on a half-breed bastard, yet to prove himself in the world? Someday you'll prove yourself and they'll learn to accept you. Yes, as you say, until I prove myself, the tribe cannot be certain where my loyalties lie. Once I show the spirit of the Uthgard is pure within me, the Red Tiger tribe will welcome me back. It's not as if they abandoned me in the cold. They gave me food and weapons before they sent me out into the world to prove myself, and a sacred talisman of the tribe once carried by my mother. Forgive me, Darius, but I cannot speak more of this anymore. It's too painful. Just tell me how you prove yourself to your tribe, and we'll do it. I thank you for the kind offer, but there's little you can do for me right now. Perhaps later, speak more of this. Alright.
Yes?
One more
Is there
time?
something you need?
Suppose you deserve to know the rest of the story. I have kept this weight upon my heart, but we are in this together. We are both warriors, after all. If I cannot turn to my brothers in arms for aid, who in this world can I count on? There's something troubling me. My quest to prove my worth as an Uthgard warrior has not yet begun, and I already fear has failed. How so? I'm not the first Redguard warrior to be exiled in this way, though most who undertake a vision quest do so as punishment for committing some crime or transgression against the tribe. When the warrior is sent from the tribe, he is given a special talisman. This talisman must remain by his side, for magic brings the visions, and the visions illuminate his quest. My talisman was a simple brooch, worn by my mother, one of sentimental and spiritual value. Alas, I fear my quest will never be complete, as the talisman to the key to my visions is lost. It happened shortly after I started work at the docks. I tried to keep a vigilant guard over the talisman, but the district is crawling with pickpockets and cut purses. Ever since it was stolen, I have sought the brooch, but how can one locate such an object? It is unique, but of little monetary value. It may be that the thief who stole it threw it away when he recognized how little it was worth. That is partially the reason I stayed so long at the docks, hoping I might somehow discover the brooch. I'm certain it is somewhere in the docks district, even now, if it was not burned on the bonfires of the plague corpses. Don't worry, we'll find your brooch somehow. I know I shall probably never find my mother's brooch again, Darius, but I shall not give up hope. Without it, my vision quest will never be revealed to me. If I find it, I'll let you know. And we shall let him know, but it is not something that is currently within our inventory. I think we only have, like, 3 things for these companion guys. So for the time being,
Is there something you need?
really want me to leave? Yes, go. Wait here in case you... Yeah, okay. Cool. So as soon as we find the brooch for Red Tiger, we can return it to him. But we might as well do some of these other ones.
Who's this? Some poor soul straggling in off the diseased streets? Are you here to join our ranks and beg for an employer? Or are you actually here to hire someone?
Has a weird freaking rendering of lights over her face right there. Gives her a weird looking Fu Manchu. And if I said I was looking for work, I'd say not to hold your breath. With everyone dropping like flies into the city, the only opportunity for employment is as a gravedigger or a charlatan. You don't strike me as either of those. Why not tell me what you're really looking for? Well, I might be looking for a henchman. Is that so? Well, then I shall have to reform my impression of you. Who are you, then, that you have coin to spare on hireling help? Name's Darius, pleased to meet you. Name's Sharwin, and I call this city my home. I seek adventure and excitement. If you seek the same, it'd be smart to hire me to accompany you. Local girl, are you? Does that make a difference? I see people I've known my whole life falling to sickness all around me. I'd say that gives me more motivation than most, and instantly I am no girl. Oh, probably the whole difference between a woman and girl thing. I get it. I understand. And just what skills do you have? I'm a caster of the bardic magic, a master of all skills and a teller of the oldest legends, and with or without your help, I intend to achieve my own fame in my time. One day, bards will sing their songs about me. I suppose such talk may make me seem arrogant to you, my lord, but if so, I don't particularly care. I've known the path I was on for a long time. I left behind a life of riches to live the life of a bard. You're right, you do seem a little arrogant. Surprise, surprise, I don't care what you think. I've endured much worse scorn from better, my lord, and survived. That because of the freaking 8 charisma? If my own family had its way, I would have be by now comfortably married to a wealthy man I would never respect, bored to tears in my large Black Lake district mansion. How odd a game the fates play. My family lies mostly dead now, and Black Lake is full of frightened fools who bury their heads in the sand and pretend the plague won't touch them. Since we're already done with Black Lake, we can just probably skip this one. I'm looking for someone to help me in my mission. So I understand. Might you be able to illuminate me as to the nature of this mission of yours? I work for Lady Erebeth. My mission is confidential. Oh, well, have it your way. If you're working for Lady Erebeth, I imagine it's something of great importance. Erebeth is Lord Nasher's servant, so your mission is bound to be exciting. Yes, I think I'd rather like to join you, if the price is right. My skills don't come cheaply, however. I'll follow you gladly into the best of my ability, my lord, provided my price is met. Can we bring that down a little bit? Dang it. I'll follow as you require. Shall we move on then? Alright. So, this is Sharwin. She is a bard. True neutral, 2 of T. How is it? What do you have that grants you a strength of 18? I'm legitimately curious. What is your inventory? Unable to view the companions. Now I will see this inventory, damn it. Dang it. Fine. Actually, I wonder if her pick lock skill is better than Tommy's. I might start using her instead, because then she can also double as a healer / buffer, because she is a bard. That's what bards do.
Yes? Is there something you need?
I just want to talk for a little while. Talk? About what? I'd like to know more about you. You'd like to know more about me, would you? Alright, Darius, I'm game for a little chit-chat. I want to ask you something first, however. Why are you on this mission of yours? Why work for Erebeth at all? Did she bat her pretty elven eyelashes at you, or is that some other force, or is there some other force at work here I'm unaware of? Same thing I said to Red Tiger. Now you're talking my language. Making a name for ourselves by doing great things is what being an adventurer is truly all about, isn't it? I desire fame above all else. I want to walk the path that others haven't, to make my own legend rather than recount others. I want to be thrilled and awed by my life, and when I look back on it, regret nothing. This may seem shallow to you. I have my reasons, however, and I ask no one's approval. What do you think, then? Do I have a chance at those things traveling with you? Oh, absolutely. Why not? Promises, promises. I'll admit that there's something about your future that holds great possibility, however. We'll see where it leads. Far better to make the attempt, I think. Far better even to perform great deeds and remain unknown than to not ever try at all. I know where the normal path leads, believe me. The path of the expected, the path that everyone else wants you to lead. Down that path lies oblivion. What you talking about? Death, Darius, or as good as it anyways. There are many ways to die that don't leave a corpse. If you wish, I'll tell you the tale sometime, about my family and how I became what I am today. You'll probably be bored to tears, as I'm certainly not the stuff of legends yet, but it's up to you. Sure, tell me now. No, not in the mood to tell you that tale just yet. Legends and fairy tales, certainly, but I only tell stories about myself when I'm ready. And because we are higher level, it seems like the pattern is, oh, tell me about yourself. Now, you tell me a little about yourself, and then I'll tease a little bit about what I'm all about.
Yes? Is there something you need?
Talk for a while. Continue your story. Suppose I did offer to tell you about my family, didn't I? Very well then, Darius, I'll tell you. By my family, I actually mean my mother. She's the only true family I've ever had. I've never met my father. He and my mother parted ways before I was born. Mother was an adventurer, you see, a mage, in fact, of some skill. This is what other people have told me, however, as Mother would never discuss it. She left that life behind, along with my father, to marry a man of wealth. Doesn't sound like you approve. Perhaps not now, but I didn't know any better then. My mother considered her past nonsense, as she had much more important things to talk about. My mother wanted wealth. She wanted to live the life of fine jewelry, of carriage rides, and a fine mansion in Blacklake. Her husband was a means to an end. She left behind her magic and instead spent her life spending money. Far more money than my stepfather could ever afford. She didn't care a whit for his complaints so long as he kept providing her coin. When he died unexpectedly, she was devastated, not because he was gone, but because he left behind a mountain of debts. She was terrified at the thought of being poor. I mean, she does kind of sound like a terrible woman, but being poor does suck. What about you? Were you saddened by his death? I never really knew him, to be honest. My mother kept me quite distant, shuttled from one private school to another. Ugh. She formed a desperate plan. Although she rarely saw me when I was a child, now she had need of me. I was a comely young woman, and she would see me wed to a wealthy bachelor. Not for my benefit, of course, but for her own. I was so meek and accustomed to being ruled by her, I couldn't even conceive of an objection. My mother had her eye on a young Lord Farthington. He would never stoop to marry poor nobility, however, not unless he desired me. I would have to seduce him. Did you? I had intended to. I went to Lord Farthington's estate to attend a party being held in his honor, my mother meaning us to meet. When we arrived, I was awestruck at the size of the hall. There were so many people dancing, I could barely take it all in. The music was so beautiful. I stepped onto the floor and approached the man my mother pointed out. I was very nervous, but the man was handsome and kind and witty. Fell in love with him immediately. My mother grabbed me away from him angrily. Not long later, I had mistaken her directions. It was not Lord Farthington I had danced with after all. It was far too late for my heart, however. I take it your mother wasn't happy about that. She was furious, naturally, since I never got to meet Lord Farthington. She was even worse when it was discovered who I had met. His name was Danon, a penniless apprentice bard in the service of Lord Farthington. I was utterly in love with him. My mother told me not to forget about him. I couldn't, however, despite the possibility that we might lose everything. Love can do that. I was young and blind and hopeless. I fell for the first man who showed interest in me. Not that my mother intended for that to stop us. I had a choice, obviously. Take the path I was expected to and seduce Lord Farthington, or run off with a penniless bard. I should have done one or the other. As it turned out, I made a mess of everything. Being a young fool, I suppose that could be expected. I'll tell you what happened some time later, perhaps. Let's just continue with what we're doing, shall we? Which is going to be more talking.
Yes? Is there something you need?
Continue the story. You want to hear the rest of the tale about my ill-fated affair, do you? Suppose there's no harm in it. I should have run off with Danon, or turned him aside completely. I did neither, as I was unwilling to disobey my mother. Instead, I seduced Lord Farthington as she wished, and loved my bard in secret. Danon was kind to me. He enthralled me with his music, and I adored him. Lord Farthington, on the other hand, was really lustful and possessive, and my mother was overjoyed. This couldn't have gone on long. No, that's true. These things are bound to come to a bad end, of course, and I wish I had known that. As the date of my marriage to Lord Farthington grew closer, he began to suspect that something was amiss. I spent far too much time away from him and in Danon's arms. It was all my mother could do to convince him that I was true to his love, and it was she who finally discovered me in the arms of my bard. So, did she have Danon killed? She had the guards chase them away, but they weren't able to kill him. That didn't stop me from loving him either. Mother turned on me then and forbade me to see Danon ever again. I was to marry Lord Farthington, and that was all there was to it. I refused at first. I loved Danon, and nothing else mattered. So she begged me. That proud woman got on her knees with tears in her eyes and begged me not to abandon her to poverty. I could do as I was expected, save my mother and marry a man who I did not love, or I could run off to the unknown with Danon. Did you choose Danon? I struggled with the decision, for I had never had to make up my own mind. But the thought of that dreary life with Lord Farthington frightened me so. I chose Danon. Lord Farthington was outraged. He tried to have Danon and me executed, and we were forced to flee with not a copper between us. My mother was crushed. She was turned out from noble society as she feared, lost everything to repay my stepfather's debt. Did the only thing you could do. I still dreaded the thought of leaving my mother behind. I would have done anything to please her, but not this one thing. I'd not give up my life. I fled from Neverwinter with Danon, and we traveled far, and he had taught me how to become a bard in my own right. I did not return home in many years, until recently, in fact. It was an odd feeling to discover that Lord Farthington had lost his own fortune years ago, and both he and his household were now dead from the plague. That was the fate that had awaited me. And my mother, I've only been to see her once since my turn. Still lives? She has lived as all these years as a poor seamstress, it seems, bitter and blaming me for the poor luck which had befallen her. We said little to each other as she ordered me out of her leaky cottage. I did find one thing, however. She is dying. She suffers from bone rot, a disease which would require the attention of several clerics for a month to heal normally. With the plague, however, no one can help her, though I have tried in vain to find one who can. Is there nothing to be done? I know of only one cure for bone rot, an extract from a flower that is said to only be grown on the fabled cliffs of Mount Celestia. Mount Celestia, which is on another plane of existence. Alright. Finding such a potion could be difficult, I've no doubt. It is my hope to find one, however, and save my mother's life. I do not owe her, really, but I would like to do this one thing for her now. Reaches under cloak. That's what you're talking about? It is indeed. How you came across something that can only be made on another plane, however, I won't question it. Thank you, Darius. I'll have this sent to my mother as soon as possible. You've made me feel much better. Here, take this. There's a belt that belonged to Danon that I've saved. I want you to have it. Hopefully it will serve you well. Thank you. I'm not very used to kindness from others, Darius. I'll not forget this. Let's proceed with your mission now. And she gave us a belt of the performer, which increases your charisma, performance, and persuade. As a barbarian, I have no use of this object, but it's the sentiment that counts.
Yes.
Speaking of that. Yes, go. Boop. So, when you tell them to go, they should stay exactly where you tell them that, or they should die. I'm trying to remember whether or not I can even get either of these guys. Hey, do you need a henchman?
I know you. You were at the academy during the slaughter of the students. You were there when the assassins came.
I think this guy's a monk. Mostly because he's not wielding anything. Who are you? How do you know about the academy? I'm Gremnar, a monk of the Order of the Long Death. Oh. The grisly account of the academy is no great secret, not to those who seek out such things. Tell me, as you stood amidst the blood-soaked corpses of your fellow students, did you gaze upon the face of death? Did you look up into his cold eyes and feel his icy touch upon your soul? You want to bring that, gothic edgelordness down from 11 to about a 6? You seem a little creepy, Gremnar. Many find the members of my order unsettling, for we embrace death in all its incarnations. Yet in times like these, my skills are in great demand. Oh, what kind of skills does the monk of the Order of Long Death possess? I'm a disciple of torment and the messenger of death, the Silent Lord. I bring the absolution of pain and anguish to my enemies to prepare them for a brutal and purifying end. In truth, my skills are not so different from any soldier or hired blade, though I embrace the beauty and perfection of my enemy's death with a zeal, unlike zeal others often lack. I'm looking for a good mercenary. Can you help me? The monks of the Long Death rarely join with those outside our order, but I sense the mark of my master is upon you. A storm of blood swirls around you. Anguish and death will follow in your wake, as it did at the academy. Yet there are many whom death will follow in this city, many of whom are willing to pay for my services. My fee to join your cause is 250 gold pieces. Want to bring that down a smidge? Sure. I foresee a deal of brutal and savage slaughter at your side. My order will be pleased. My hands will deal death to your enemies, and my skills are yours to command. Whenever you wish me to change my tactics, you have only to ask. So this is Gremnar. As his name and his order suggests, he is a monk. He is lawful evil, which is interesting to me. Well, monks have to be lawful. And because of his monkiness, he is unarmed. Because he punches shit and deals much damage with his fists at the moment as I do with my battle axe. It hurts. I think because of the Order of the Long Death, it actually increases the amount of damage he does with cold damage, which is neat. It is neat. Or it's a thing in his inventory that I'm not aware of.
Is there something you need?
Well, let's see what he has to say. Conversation is one way to pass the time until the Silent Lord comes to claim us. What do you wish to speak about? I'd like to know a little bit more about you. I would ask, Darius, that you tell me more about yourself. I'm eager to know what type of man I have allied myself with. Why do you serve the plague-ravaged city? What possesses you to venture out into the streets amidst the bloated, swollen corpses of the burning funeral pyres? Seriously, I feel like I'm reading this guy like he has a fetish for this kind of shit. But can you blame me? Seek to forge a legend that will last forever. The name of a hero lives on long after the hero has passed from this world. But do not fool yourself, Darius. Your legend may live forever, but you will not. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to forge a legend. True death, the ultimate end of existence, is the one perfect absolute in a flawed world. Is the one perfect absolute in a flawed world of uncertainty. The Order of the Long Death understands this. So go ahead and tell me a little bit more about this order. We bring pain, torment, and anguish to the denizens of the world to prepare them for the release of death. We spread devastation. We seek to tear down, to obliterate, and to destroy. The monks of my order bow down to death, Darius. We may swear allegiance to another, but only as it serves the will of the Silent Lord. So, the Silent Lord is the god of your order? My order does not bow before any god. We worship death itself, in all of its incarnations. Gods are transient. Even a god may die. Bane, Sirik. But death itself is always present. The Silent Lord is the name we give to the concept, the very essence of death. We may serve death in one way or another, Darius. We all serve death one way or another, Darius. It is only after I left Mithril Hall to join the Order that I came to understand this. Mithril Hall. That's where you came from originally. I spent several years at Mithril Hall in the service of Brunor Battlehammer before I joined the Order of the Long Death. But there was no place for me among the clan at Mithril Hall. I was shunned and reviled by my own kind. How do you mean? That's not the time to speak of this. Darius, let's return to the mission. The Silent Lord's hunger will not be sated by mere words. You make me uncomfortable, Gremnar. Very well, I have been reluctant to speak of my time at the Mithril Hall, but I will not let the matter rest. When Brunor Battlehammer reclaimed the throne at Mithril Hall not 20 years ago, it kindled a fierce racial pride in all the dwarves in the north. I was one of many who flocked to Brunor's banner, one of many who came to battle the denizens of the Underdark and drive them from the mines beneath Mithril Hall. But they didn't accept you, did they? This was long before I joined the Order of the Long Death, and at first Mithril Hall welcomed me, for even then I did not fear death, and I was eager to inflict it upon my enemies. There were many among Brunor's followers who shared my love of battle and the reckless fury with which I slaughtered my foes, but none of them appreciated the terrible beauty that was all around us. Have you ever heard the glorious chorus of screaming of dying drow echoing in the chambers of a dwarven mine? Or pause in battle to taste the palpable specter of death descending on the field like a cool mist? Have you ever stood over the dying comrade, drinking his pain and fear as his life bleeds away, gazing into his eyes to glimpse the terrible understanding shining through the final instant death claims him? I can't say I've had the pleasure, no. After the battles, I would walk among the scattered corpses, fascinated by the truth of their deaths. The others found it disturbing, I knew, but I couldn't stop. The compulsion was too strong. And as I wandered amongst the twisted, mangled bodies and gazed into the masks of agony forever frozen on their faces, I understood. Drow, Durgar, Dwarf, in death we are all the same, in death we are all perfect. I tried to share my revelations with my brothers in arms, but they could not understand. They only looked at me with horror and disgust. Yeah, no kidding, you're kind of a freak. That was what they said as well, though were glad to have me at their side whenever the drow attacked. I left Mithril Hall shortly after my revelation in search of something. I found the Order of the Long Death. I suppose I cannot blame my fellow dwarves for the reaction. The acceptance of death is not easy. Even among my order, there are those who cannot face the Silent Lord when their time comes. What do you mean by that? I'm sorry. I should not have said anything about this to you. It is a matter that must be solved by orders of my order. Maybe it's something I can help you with, he said reluctantly. It is not the time to speak of this, Darius. Let us return to our mission. Seriously, this is like the concept of every freaking edgy teenager's first character, where they want to make a grim, dark, edgy character.
Is there something you need?
Yeah, if anything, I wouldn't have this guy on my party simply because I'd be worried that he would just, as I'm sitting there dying at 2 HP with no more healing potions in my own possession, he would just kind of look and stare and breathe heavily over me. I told you earlier it was a matter of those of my order, Darius, but you have proven yourself to be an agent of the Silent Lord. Death follows you wherever you go. I've not been completely honest with you about my reasons to coming for Neverwinter. I came here in search of someone. Her name is Alaganda. Like me, she was a disciple studying to enter the Order of the Long Death. We often trained together in anticipation of our initiation. I will not describe our initiation rituals to you, Darius, but the Silent Lord claims many who undertake them. Only the few who survive, as I did, are welcomed into the Order of the Long Death. But Alaganda could not bear to face her own mortality, and on the morning of her initiation she fled, breaking the vow she swore when she had first joined the Order. And you followed her here. I did not follow her right away. The ravages of the ritual had left me broken and weak, but when I recovered, my instructor came to me and told me what I must do. Alaganda has denied the Silent Lord that which is rightfully his. For this she must die. And because I am the lone survivor of the most recent initiation, I'm the only one given the privilege of killing her. If I am ever to advance further in the Order of the Long Death, I must bring back proof of Alaganda's death to my masters. What kind of proof? He always wears a forged silver ring, which we actually have. I was unsure whether or not we had his thing or not. Embossed with the crest of her family, a soaring falcon against a full moon. After wearing it for so many years, the ring will not fit over her finger, and she could never willingly remove the ring while she lives in any case. The Silent Lord has many tools to reap his harvest. Alaganda may have succumbed to the plague or other misfortune, but I will serve the city until I either kill her or find the ring that proves she is already dead. Oh, I guess it's not that silver ring. Alright. I'll help you find and kill Alaganda, or at least help you find her ring. I will not rest until I find the ring that proves Alaganda has been taken by the Silent Lord, though I know my chances of success are few. Oh, I do have it. Alright. I have a ring here with a falcon on it. Is this the one? Yes, this is Alaganda's ring. This is the proof I needed. Now I know she has been taken by the Silent Lord. She was a fool to flee. There is nowhere we can run that death cannot find us. I have no gold or treasure to reward you, but there is one thing I can offer. A small token, perhaps, but it is all I have. You have proved yourself a true servant of the Silent Lord, Darius. Take this amulet. All who join the Long Death are given a similar talisman. Thanks? It will not save you from the Silent Lord when he finally chooses you, but it will grant you some protection from succumbing to those who would deliver unto you you into his grasp before your appointed time. Eventually I will return to my order and report Alaganda's death to them, but this can wait until your mission here is done. The mark of death is upon you, Darius. As long as I stay by your side, I know I serve the will of the Silent Lord. Again, creepy. So, he just gave me... Oh no, this is the feather that proves Amulet of the Long Death. Ooh! More constitution and spell resistance. I won't lie. Can't really take the constitution-y bit right now. But that is really nice to have.
Is there something you need?
Go away. Thank you. How many more of these people are there? Oh god, there's also a person back here. Named one. You know what, let's cover this dwarf. This is going to be a longer episode, if you haven't noticed already. A longer one, because I kind of want to get through all these guys in one go.
Hail to ye!
Hail to ye! That's better to be good. I've got a fine drink going, and that waitress is making eyes much prettier than yours. Is that another hit on my 8 charisma? I suppose, make it quick though, I have never so many places to be. Yeah, right. Arabeth tolerates mercenaries when Neverwinter has a standing militia? Watch your mouth, friend. Hasn't gone unnoticed that when a few of the city guards died, she hired outsiders like you instead to come here. Just because we work for the highest bidder doesn't mean we wouldn't put it on the line for the city. Wait, are you actual dude or are you... Action. Now you're talking my language. There's one place. Yeah, you look good enough with a weapon. Just don't let anyone hear about it. It's not supposed to get around. It's a club for fighting. We call it the Gauntlet. If you want action, that's where you go. I can sell you a pass if you want. 50 gold. Sure. And here's the pass. Don't say where you got it, although I doubt they'll ask. Nobody talks about the Gauntlet, but people show up anyway. The Boardlay Bear Tavern is in the Black Lake district. Give the pass to the bartender. Good luck. You'll need it. Wait, I'm sorry. Did I just enter a fight club? I think I just entered a fight club. Excellent. Cool. So, I just entered a fight club. I'm totally gonna get in on that. Oh, you look like a paladin. Either a paladin or a really haughty fodder. Fodder? Fight her.
Please now, I already told you that I didn't mean to step on your cat. It ran right in front. Oh, you're not that other one.
Do many gnomes run around here with an acre? Okay. Oh goodness, how embarrassing. Why does it always happen to me? Who are you? Before I tell you anything about me, I would like to ask you a question if you don't mind. Alright. You're not one of those dirty, underhanded, conniving thieves types, are you? Do I really give off that air? No, I'm not. Why do you ask? I have had nothing but problems with irritating, despisable thieves ever since I left. But that's not important right now. Let me introduce myself. Okay. My name is Lunu Latnodal, a devout priest of Sahanan Moonbow. I seek to continue my adventures by hiring myself out as a healer. Why are you here in the barracks rather than helping the plague victims? I came to the city believing that I could stem the tide of this plague with the powers of Sahanan. Alas, it defied my every attempt to find a cure. I worked long, hard hours in the Temple of Tyr, trying to alleviate the pain of the sick. Finally, after working through several days and nights, I was exhausted. When I tried to stand, I fainted. Then what happened? Well, I fell over and bumped into the glass statue of the symbol of Tyr. One of the balanced plates flew across the room and smashed spectacularly right above the head of the high priest. The crash was so shocking that the priest sat down right on top of a rather large shard of glass. I'm sure it healed up just fine once they stripped him and pulled it out. I was unhurt, but the other priests didn't seem too concerned about that at the time. They asked me to find somewhere else to help with the wounded, as if that was somehow my fault. I kinda like Linu, I won't lie. Are you really that clumsy? Not really clumsy, I was just tired. My troubles didn't come from a lack of dexterity so much as poor timing. Don't worry, I'm good at a fight and an excellent healer. Each day I've been assisting victims of the plague in the slums of the Blacklake district, where they lie in the street, ignored by the residents and guards alike. Well, that's good of you. Well, not anymore. The last time I visited there was a couple of days ago. I was attempting to help a sick old woman off the street when I was set upon by several thugs. They attacked you while you were helping plague victims. People are terribly discouraged because they figure they are going to catch the wailing death, so they aren't overly concerned with morals. In their desperation, they turn to theft, or worse. I want to go back and help, but what can I do? I think that if I could earn some more experience, maybe some gold, I might be able to make a difference. I'm looking for a good healer to help me in my mission. I want to trust you and I need the work, but I really don't care to be involved with any shady deals. Perhaps you could tell me more of your mission? Well, I work for Lady Arabeth, but the mission is confidential. I can understand that. If you're working for Arabeth, then I'm certain your mission must be of great importance. Arabeth has worked hard to combat the plague, so I'm sure I can trust her instincts in this matter. I would love to work with you, if we agree upon a fair price for my services. My goal in life is to get through with the minimum of pain, but sometimes one has to aim for simple survival. To achieve that, you need an experienced healer. I promise I'll do my best to keep you in excellent health. Only 250 gold pieces. No, alright, fine. You'll not regret this. My skills are at your command. I'll follow you and perform the best of my abilities. Okay. So, this is Linu. She is a cleric. A neutral good cleric, so she'd fit right in with Darius, methinks. Yeah, pretty good fighter. AC in 19, probably from having some really decent armor. Constitution, attack, damage, spell immunity. Damn. Domains of air and animal. You claim to be a healer, but your domains are air and animal. That's confusing. One moment. Sorry, I've had to make disgusting nasally noises for a while, and I didn't want that to get recorded.
Hey there, dear. What can I do for you?
I just want to talk for a while. Love chatting with you, but don't you think we should focus on your mission? If we're going to work together, I'd like to know more about you. Yes, that's understandable. I've been away from my home and friends for a long time now. I'd like to get to know you too. Alright? Well, what questions do you have of me? I mean, this seems obvious. Why did you leave your homeland? You don't start with easy questions, do you? That's a bit of a difficult question to answer, but I'll do my best. I'd worked in the Temple of the Full Moon in Everesca for about 6 years before I left my home. I loved the peacefulness of the temple, but even there, accidents and tricks of fate made life difficult. It wasn't usually anything big, just me in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know why, but I just didn't have any luck. Well, bad luck happens to all of us at one time or another. Not always bad luck, though. Sometimes I can be a little gullible. That's what got me into trouble and away from Everesca. I was collecting tithes one day when a heavily cloaked figure came begging at the temple. He looked like a starving child, so I took him inside the inner sanctum to get him some food, and when I came back, he was gone. There was also something else missing, something very precious. Bloody steel. Please forgive me, I can talk no more about this. God dang it. We don't know each other well, and again, we literally did just start conversing about this, so. But since we're level 6...
Hey there, dear. What can I do for you?
Love chatting with you, but don't you think... Nah, more story. I appreciate that you waited patiently to hear more of my story. I think we can have gone through enough together to warrant a deeper level of trust. I just ask that you don't make fun of me, since this was such a dark blot on my name. Many years ago, a cleric performed a service for the people of Everesca by uncovering a drow plot to destroy the city. The Hen and Moonbow came and presented the priest with a silver goblet. And that's what was stolen? Yeah, the thief stole it right out from the temple and managed to sneak out of Everesca. No small accomplishment there. The other priests were frightfully mad. Only the head priest was willing to concede that it could have happened to someone else. But of course it didn't. It happened to the person that broke the head off the golden statue of Colrellin. I didn't know what to do, so I stayed up all night praying to Sehanine to guide my path. God has heard my prayer, and just before the first ray of light broke the dark, I was granted a vision. What happened in the vision? I saw myself leaving Everesca and going on a long journey. At the end of the journey, I returned with the chalice. The trip itself was a blur. I had no idea where to go other than north and west. When I told the priests about my vision that would take me far away, they had a cheerful celebration in honor of my sacred mission. It was the first moment in my own life when I felt truly belonged. Yes, I'm sure they were very happy for you. But now they will never welcome me back into their city. My quest has failed. Surely it's not failed. You'll find it someday. No, you don't understand. No one will ever stand. I shall be an outcast for life. Shanav said so. We shall talk more about this later, but not now. Level 6.
There, dear.
I guess I should be glad to share my daunting task with a friend. We are both adventurers. If I trust you with my life, I should trust you with my troubles. I'm sorry if I was so overcome with despair, but you see, I found the silver chalice of Mubo once already. I found it in a small town called Lork, but then I lost it again. How in the name of all that is holy did you lose it again? As I said, I found the chalice in the merchant town of Lork. The thief, a halfling, tried to sell it to a Zint merchant. But when the halfling tried to charge him 500 gold, the Zint claimed the religious artifact as tribute to Bane. The halfling priest protested, but the mayor of the town is a Zint as well. Next thing the halfling knew, he was arrested for the murder of an old woman who had spit in the face of a Zint soldier the day before. Obviously, he never committed the crime. It never fails to shock me when people are capable of such injustice. How'd you find all this out? I found out what happened when I showed up in town and saw a mob of people about to hang him. Everyone was laughing and telling the story to anyone who would listen. They actually thought it was that such injustice was funny. Even the bloody merchant was there for the hanging. He was drinking from the sacred chalice. Yep, that sounds like a Zint for you. Yeah, so I discovered. They already had the rope around the halfling's neck when I heard the whole story. I didn't know what to do, but I had to stop it. I ran forward into the crowd, yelling for them to stop, but I tripped and I fell in the mud. I looked up and saw the face of a kindly grandmother. I reached for her hand and she kicked me right in the teeth. That's horrible. The mob turned into a giant brawl, with fists and laughter flying everywhere. Crowd called out from the crowd and fled town, weeping as I ran. I made it to the forest and collapsed in the bushes off the road. As I lay there weeping, I heard a twig snap, spun around, and standing there behind me was the halfling. He winked at me and tossed me the chalice, which he held in his hand. I cried out that I had to have it back, but he just laughed and disappeared into the wood. I never saw him again. Don't worry, Linu. I'm sure I'll help you find the chalice. Thank you, sweet Darius. That's a kind answer for a good friend. I know I shall probably never find the chalice again, but I shall not give up. I must return it to my people to restore my honor. Hey, is this happen to be the chalice you're talking about? The silver chalice of Moonbow. Thank you. I can never repay you for this gift of true friendship. There is something I have that might be of use to you. This is the pendant of the elf. It has the power to enhance some of your abilities with those of the elven ancestors. You have proven this day that you are a true friend to the elven people. This pendant only works with those who prove such worthiness. I am proud to be able to call you friend, Darius. Thank you. Because of you, I can return the chalice to where it belongs. I'll protect it with my life until the opportunity arises for me to visit Everesca. Until that time, I shall remain by your side and help you achieve your goals. Thank you again, my dear friend. Sweet. So, this is Linu's token. This proves that she is a friend. I'm gonna put this creepy ass thing into... Oh, wrong magic bag. And was this it? Yep. Gives dark vision and dexterity +1. Nice. Got so many random tokens, but I also got this gauntlet pass. Oh, that's Gremnar's gem. Ugh. I need to organize all these things. And no, I still don't know what I'm doing with those skeleton things. Oop. Weird. And there's Tommy's. Charwin's. Think that's it. I mean, I still have this weird scented fetish from what's his face? Zuki copy. I think I can lose some of these things. Maybe. I'm definitely gonna just drop that there. That said.
Hey there, dear. What can I do?
Better off on my own. There we go. So. That was a fun time. Was that everyone? Tommy, Red Tiger, Gremnar, Sharwin. I'll double check the companions list, but I think that is most definitely it. Hey, post-recording Darius here, and I have made the realization that we actually have missed one, which I'm pretty sure I don't have a magic item for, or have the item for to talk to in the first place, but we got one more to talk to.
Hello there. You don't have the look of one of those Neverwinter soldiers about you. Neither do you show any evidence of having contracted the plague.
But you have a certain bearing about you that distinguishes you from the ordinary citizen. Based on my observations, I'd venture the hypothesis that you are an adventurer, correct? You're right, I'm an adventurer. Name's Darius. Who are you? I'm Barinok Glinkle, a gnome sorcerer for the land of Latan, who has only recently arrived here in Neverwinter. Latan? Isn't that the place where all those crazy inventions come from? My homeland does have a reputation of producing marvelous machines and outlandish contraptions not otherwise found in Faerun. We Latinese are a people guided by the analytical principles of science, observation, reason, and logic. But don't allow yourself to be misled by rumors and hearsay. We aren't all kooky adventurers, as some would have you believe. I myself am a sorcerer, for example. A sorcerer? Thought Lantern looked down on magic. The Lantanese people do not disparage magic, though many do not understand it. However, in my land, we rely on the arcane far less than the other people of Faerun. We prefer to seek a scientific solution to a problem rather than a magical one. Often, though, through observation and experimentation, a problem can be solved without resorting to magecraft. Of course, sometimes a little touch of the arcane is a good thing. When the situation is appropriate, I do not hesitate to use my powers. I may be from Lantern, but I am first and foremost a sorcerer. So, what you doing in Neverwinter? I left my home some time ago to experience the broader world. It's not uncommon for the people of my island to undertake such a journey. I was exploring the northern Sword Coast when I heard rumors of a previously unknown plague breaking out of Neverwinter. In the name of scientific discovery, I came to investigate and catalog the new illness. Fortunately, I arrived before the city was quarantined. I decided to begin my investigation of the Wailing Death in the Beggar's Nest. Why there? From the accounts I gathered, it was generally agreed that the Beggar's Nest was where the outbreak began. I thought the best way to learn about the plague was to trace it back to its source. And when I learned the clerics were unable to combat the plague, I thought that I could apply the scientific principles of Lantern to discover a more mundane cure. Unfortunately, I had to end my investigations into the Beggar's Nest mere days after they began. Far too short a time to conduct a proper study of the situation. Yep, I was right. As a gnome, he is a talky dude. I'm looking for a good mercenary to help me in my mission. Your mission? What mission would that be exactly? Well, I work for Lady Erebeth. I have been instructed to find several missing creatures that might be used to find the plague cure. Yes, I suppose extracting a cure from certain reagents would be a possible method of counteracting the rapid spread of the epidemic. Given my own scientific interest in the plague, I would be glad to accompany you in your mission. All evidence seems to indicate you are a capable man who isn't afraid of a little adventure and exploration. Since we are both of gnome heritage, I'm willing to join you for only 150 gold pieces. I'm sure I won't turn down that severe of a discount. Every expedition needs a leader. Since you're paying, it's only logical that you should be the one in charge. I'll use my spells and skills to help you out as we go along as best I can. If you ever want me to change my tactics, just speak to me to give me new instructions. So, this is...
The evidence seems to indicate that won't happen.
So this is a lawful neutral sorcerer gnome, Baranok. That's a rather unfortunate name if you ask me. Not very wise, rather intelligent, high constitution, mostly probably from his gnome lineage, and a pretty decent charisma, which as a sorcerer is what you need for 3.5 spell casting. Combat casting, shield proficiency. Oh, he took shield proficiency. Neat. Oh, that's why his AC is... No, his AC is still abysmal. Never mind.
Is there something you need?
Just want to talk for a little while. I'm a staunch proponent of the free exchange of ideas, Darius. What is it you wish to know? I want to know more about you. Your request is completely logical, Darius, and I will be happy to answer your queries. However, as I might expect, I have questions of my own. Why are you here, Darius? What events are the underlying basis of your service to Erebeth in the city of Neverwinter? Legend, forge it! I should have guessed. The allure of fame is a common connection among many who undertake missions such as yours. My own motivations were somewhat different. When I heard about the plague, I was flushed with the thrill of scientific discovery. I thought that if I applied the principles of observation and experimentation, I could discover a cure for the plague. It was only after I arrived that I realized how wrong my preconceived notions were. I suppose the need to learn this lesson was one of the reasons my mentor insisted on sending me out of Lantan. Your mentor? I'm a sorcerer. I have the ability to unleash power and dangerous forces. I would have been foolish to undertake this career path without seeking the guidance of one more experienced than I. However, sorcerers and wizards are not common in Lantan. We prefer to find a scientific solution to problems whenever possible, rather than relying on magic. At least I managed to locate another who could train me in the arcane arts, a human sorcerer named Profero, who lived in the secluded tower on the far side of the island. And he took you in? I admit that when I first arrived at Prothero's tower, I did not receive a warm welcome, or rather, to be more accurate, I should say I received a overly warm welcome. Just as I reached Prothero's tower, a large lizard popped out from behind a nearby bush. It was somewhat alarming. However, when the creature opened its breath and belched forth a flaming jet, I became absolutely terrified. I fled back the way I came, the fire drake's blasts of flame licking at my heels the entire way. As soon as I passed beyond the boundaries of Prothero's lands, the creature turned and disappeared back to the bushes. I guess Prothero doesn't like guests. Once I had regained my wits, I realized the fire drake served a dual purpose. It was a guardian for Prothero's estate, but it was also provided a challenge for any would-be apprentices who might wish to approach him. If I could find a way to best the creature, I was certain Prothero would see my potential and accept me as an apprentice. The problem was how to get past the creature when my magic was barely capable of igniting a candle. I had to rely on my mind to solve the problem, so I began to analyze the facts as I knew them, and I realized the creature was nothing more than an illusion. An illusion? How'd you figure that out? I simply looked at the evidence. Fire drakes are not indigenous to my island, and the climate is hardly suitable for one to survive. Plus, I had noticed no burnt patches of grass or scorched bushes on the grounds. And the flames I felt looking at my heels had done no damage to my shoes and clothing. Armed with undeniable proof of the illusion, I marched up to the tower once again. When the lizard appeared, I simply ignored it. It charged straight at me, fire and smoke spewing from its jaws. But I held my ground, and a split second before the beast bowled me over, it disappeared in a shower of light. The door to the tower swung open. I stepped in to see an old man in robes. He smiled at me and said, "Well done, Bobby Knockglinkle. You have proven yourself worthy of being my student. I am Prothero." "What's it like to be his apprentice?" "I'm sorry, but this isn't a reasonable time to discuss it. After all, Neverwinter is in great peril." "There is always time for discussion,
Is there
Bobby
something
Knock."
you need?
And continue. "You seem quite interested in my time as an apprentice under Prothero, Darius. I suppose I can afford a few minutes for me. We can afford a few minutes for me to recount those days for you." Prothero instilled in me the basic principles of magic and the underlying laws governing the arcane. His knowledge and wisdom were an inspiration to me, though his organizational skills were somewhat lacking. What do you mean by that? I would consistently stumble across magic items carelessly strewn about the tower. Potions and elixirs from half-finished experiments would be left sitting on the kitchen table. Ancient scrolls he had been copying would be stuffed under the cushions of his chairs. Wands would turn up in closets and drawers, and he never, ever locked his laboratory despite the countless powerful magic items and dangerous experiments we often dabbled in. Must have gotten into all kinds of trouble fiddling around with those magic items. What? You don't think I was foolish enough to begin tampering with things beyond the scope of my understanding, do you? That's what gnomes do. I came to Prothero so he could teach me. It wouldn't be logical for me to begin experimenting on my own. What would I have been the point of studying under him if I was going to do that? Surely you were tempted by all that magic lying around. I admit, seeing all those potions and wands and scrolls just lying around was difficult, and I must confess that eventually I did give in to temptation. I just snapped. I couldn't take it anymore, and I did something rash and completely out of my character. I waited until my master left, and on an extended trip, and I cleaned Prothero's laboratory. I organized the scrolls and potions and wands. I built shelves to store the magical components of his research, and I made a catalog card system so he could cross-reference all of his tests and results. Items that were particularly powerful or unstable I locked safely away in a magically reinforced chest with a key I presented to Prothero on his return. That's it. You cleaned up. What can I say? I was young and foolish. Prothero's own reaction was similar to yours. He couldn't believe what I had done, although he did continue to use the filing system I had set up for him. You had all that magic at your fingertips, and you didn't even try to use any of it? What kind of sorcerer are you? Weren't you even curious? Of course I was curious, but my hunger for experimentation was tempered by reason. Imagine the damage I could have done if I had dared experiment on my own. I was an apprentice, so the sensible course of action was for me to follow the lead of my master. Any other course of action would have been illogical. Logic and reason are fine, but they cannot be mighty boring. I admit my actions may seem overly cautious, but that is the way of my people. Curiosity is tempered with careful analysis. However, ever since I left Lanten, I find I am growing more bold in my quest for discovery. After all, I did come to a plague-infested city in order to chronicle a new disease, among other things. Among other things, what do you mean? Is there another reason you came to Neverwinter? I'm sorry, Darius. I should not have said anything about this to you. Really a trivial matter, and far more important things on your mind. Yeah, like, what the hell? You didn't just poke with a few of those magic items? Ask me about it later.
Is there something you need?
Something I want? Yes. Continue. I told you earlier, I came to Neverwinter to study the Wailing Death. But there was another reason I came as well. Given all that was happening, it seems rather unimportant now. But you did ask me, so I must conclude you are interested in my motivations. I had come to Neverwinter in search of bread. Bread. I know how foolish it sounds, but I had heard tales of a special type of bread found only here in Neverwinter. Leaven bread, they call it. It is said that the loaf stays fresh for months and that it will never go stale or moldy. I was hoping that when I came to Neverwinter, I could find someone to teach me the secret of making this wondrous leaven bread. If we could determine the agents that kept the bread from spoiling, I think the principles could be applied to any number of other uses. With a little research, that discovery could mean so much more than simple bread. But you haven't found anyone to give you the recipe. I've looked for some time when I first arrived in the city, but it seems the secret is known only to a few master bakers, and unfortunately they have all been claimed by the plague. I suppose someone could still have a copy of the recipe somewhere, but the more I witnessed the death and suffering of this place, the less important discovering the leaven bread became. I believe the discovery of the leaven bread recipe could be far-reaching benefits, and I would like to someday be able to bring a copy back to my home of Lanten. But I know your mission is more important, Darius. I will not let my scientific curiosity get in the way of your work. Pulls that out of his cloak. Here you go. You do? This is wonderful. This is exactly what I need. I've no gold or treasure to reward you, but there is one thing I can offer. A small token, perhaps, but it is all I have. Before I left Lanten, I was given this ring by my master, Prophero. He said it embodies the essence of discovery and the quest for knowledge. Because you have helped me in discovering the miracle of this leaven bread, I feel you have earned the right to wear this ring. Sure, thanks. The ring comes from the island of Lanten, island of discovery and invention, has the power to grant insight to its wearer. I regret there is nothing else I can give you, but once more I thank you for what you have done. But we should return our attention to greater matters now and resume your mission. Arabeth is counting on you.
Is there something you need?
Leave. Thank you. Alright. And with that, we're going to return to our normally scheduled broadcast. That cost me a pretty penny, but it got me some relatively useful magic items, and it will get me another one that is far more useful once I finally do his quest, which I might actually have Red Tiger join me for the next part of this adventure. But I'm going to go ahead and call an episode there. When we return, we're going to head towards the... Actually, I kind of want to check out Black Lake's Gauntlet first. I think I'll do that. I'll check out Black Lake's Gauntlet first, and then we'll head towards the docks. But, thank you everyone so very much for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying this adventure as much as I am. And as always, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care. Cheers.